Oh, hi guys, what's up? What can I say? Doctor Who is back! Yes! I can officially say that. Remember last week, or rather a few days ago, because it took me some time to get my all my ducks in a row, so I literally just uploaded my last episode recap just a few days ago, but hey, we've got a brand new episode to talk about! The Witchfinders, episode 8 of series 11. And remember last time I said that I feel home again with that episode of Doctor Who? I think I can firmly say Doctor Who is back. Not that it ever went anywhere, I mean, really, but yeah, it's been kind of a rough time for Doctor Who, I'd say. Not because of the Capaldi era. The Capaldi era was fine in my opinion. It's just there wasn't really that many stories at all during that time. And look, the episodes themselves, they were fine. Not all of them, but either way, they had very long breaks. They had to make us wait an entire year with no episodes at all, just literally waiting for a Christmas special. That's how things were back then. Now that we've got a more or less steady run with this series 11, things are a lot better. Things definitely are an improvement, and it shows in the writing. Right, so the Witchfinders. Let's talk about the episode. First of all, let me just be clear on this. I had very little prior knowledge to the Witchfinders. I don't think I've said this enough times on my channel, but I do not live in the UK. I have very limited knowledge of the history of the United Kingdom, or anything that came before it, more or less. I'm not really sure exactly what the witch hunts were during that time. I just know that it was bad. It was very, very bad. People were blaming other people for witchcraft, like literally every single day, and every single day people were being executed for it, especially women, because I guess men can't be blamed of witchcraft either. It was silly logic of way back when. I'm glad that they've abandoned it all those years ago, and who knows, maybe according to this episode they've abandoned it because of the Doctor and her interference. First of all, this episode starts beautifully. It just drops the characters in, no need for any prior explanation. They just left the TARDIS. You don't even know where the TARDIS is. They're just walking along in history, doing stuff. And I love that. I really like that approach. Then they find the plot, which is obviously the witch trials. Then you're introduced to this mysterious character who's been lurking in the shadows somewhere. And then you're introduced to the real sort of monster of the week this time around. This time around, it's these strange mud creatures that inhabit human bodies, which is a scary concept to begin with. I just gotta be honest, I was a little bit underwhelmed by the mud creatures. Not to say they were a bad idea. I didn't find them particularly scary, because before watching this episode I just happened to read a few reviews online. And not that you should read any review online before you go watch something like this, but the reviews kind of made it sound like the scariest thing ever. I think it was one headline that said that The Witchfinders is Jodie's scariest episode yet. It was fine. I definitely think the Kablam robots from last week were a lot scarier. I definitely think the spiders from a few weeks ago were a lot scarier than this. It's just, yeah, mud creatures, mud zombies, whatever you want to call them. As far as characters and individual performances, I'd like to break it down into 3 different parts. Part number 1, the Doctor. Perfect. Brilliant. She's getting better every episode, and I don't even know what else to say. I mean, Jodie Whittaker is just a brilliant doctor. That's really the only thing I can think of. Sorry, but yeah, I think I should just make this a regular thing. Every single recap, I should just go, well, let's talk about the Doctor. She's great. Moving on. I mean, that's really that's the only thing. Her scene with King James, which we'll get to in a second, probably one of the best scenes she's had all year. And coming off of last week and her interaction with Slade and his assistant, it's really just a continuation of, yeah, this Doctor could be funny and happy and energetic most of the time, but when it really comes down to it, you gotta remember, she is the Doctor. You do not mess with the Doctor. And Jodie Whittaker is proving herself every episode, and this episode in particular. Part number 2 is the companions. The companions were really good in this episode, really solid. I love the fact that there are 3 companions this series, because it gives the Doctor a little bit more leeway as far as just basically giving orders. Last week it was very apparent that every companion had his or her own sort of assignment. Each companion went to a different place, and in this episode it was a little less of that, but they were still giving specific jobs to each companion, and they sort of went back and forth with it. I really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are already seeing it, but Yaz is sort of like the odd one out, and the main focus is usually on Graham and Ryan. That is very much apparent in this episode, but I'm kind of... I try to give Yaz a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, since she is the underdog of this series as far as companions go. She did have her own episode dedicated specifically for her, so yeah, I'm not ready to give up on Yaz just yet. Especially since I'm currently audibling the book Molten Heart, which I'm hoping I could finish very soon and I could have another review for very soon. But yeah, Yaz does some pretty interesting stuff in that book, so I'm more or less pro Yaz in this content. And last, there is the third part of the character breakdown, and that's the supporting characters. Fortunately for us, we didn't really get a lot of them this episode, which, well, makes it a lot easier for me, just to be honest. But yeah, we've got Willow, Becca Savage, and King James. Those are the four characters that are really the important ones, not the side, really background characters. So Willow, I believe, was handled very well. The actress portraying her, which her name escapes me at the moment, was actually very good in the role. Becca Savage, though, wow. I mean, it's pretty much an obvious character name. She's Becca Savage. Yeah, but she was savage. And that was even before the transformation happened. Holy wow, I mean, that was just... that actress should be commended for the work she did. And she really did portray the evilness and the conviction of the era perfectly well. And then we've got King James, played by Alan Cumming. Gotta be honest with you guys, when the first episode ended of the series, and we had this little coming soon reel with all the major actors that were going to appear in this series, literally the only name that jumped out to me was Alan Cumming. That's really the only name I recognized from that long list of people. And even then, it was mostly because of X2, X-Men United. That's the only place I really actually recognized him from that X-Men movie from a few years ago. A lot of years ago, actually. And, well, I didn't really have much reference to this guy. And fortunately, he did his part to perfection. Now, when he first showed up, he was all flamboyant and you. Yeah, I really wasn't liking that at all, and said to myself, "Oh wow, this guy is just horrible," and I'm sorry about it. But then he slowly, gradually moved away from it, and I gotta be honest, by not even by the end, by a little bit towards the halfway point of the episode, I was really liking it. And his character had one of the biggest arcs of any single episode character this entire series, which, yeah, that's really good, really important, and yeah, I ended up really loving his character by the end. As far as the mud monsters, again, I was glad that they finally actually got to, oh whoop, there's the monster of the week that we have to stop now, they're the alien stuff. I really enjoyed the sort of exploration of the world, of the Morax, and the weird tree that was actually a lock of the cage for these things. I'm actually really noticing an interesting motif, recurring motif in this, which is something that Chibnall even mentioned that we aren't going to see in this series. So that's very interesting. So, in the first episode we had obviously Zim Shaw, or Tim Shaw, from the Stenza, a warrior-like race. Then we had obviously the Thagerians, another warlike race, and now we've got the Morax, which I'm guessing we're seeing a lot of different stages and sides to these warrior type of people. We've got obviously the Stenza, who are a giant empire throughout several galaxies. We've got the Thagerians, who are sort of used to be a powerful empire of assassins that chose to instead watch over the dead, essentially. And now we've got the Morax, who are being imprisoned on a primitive planet for war crimes. We're seeing a lot of different levels of war-like people, and I'm really enjoying this sort of recurring motif. I really am intrigued to see what happens next. Overall, guys, like I said, this is not my favorite episode of this series, not by a long shot. This episode has a few problems in it, but yeah, it's a really good, really fun episode. Like I said, Doctor Who is back. It's dug his heels firmly in the ground, and it's definitely not going anywhere, and I love it. And even that final scene where Willow and King James are looking at the TARDIS slowly materializing, and they don't even know where it's going. Yeah, that was so much like a true reference to previous episodes of Doctor Who, and like I said, I loved it. So, what do you guys think? Let me know if you even care. I actually got my first actual real comment on a Doctor Who recap episode. I believe it was either this morning or last night, and I really loved it. So yeah, keep it up, guys. Really love it. So, until next week, guys, I'm just gonna continue the next stage of my experiment and see what happens when you put two sonic screwdrivers against each other and turn them on. So, like I said, guys, see you guys next time. Hello again, everybody. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, where I do all kinds of weird stuff like showcase all these things, trailer reactions, movie reviews, all kinds of fun stuff. So, until next time, I'll see you guys next time.